In this video, we'll discuss Heckscher-Ohlin model of international economics. Now, prior to this model, international trade was studied in terms of Ricardian model, which assumes that trade between countries happen because they specialize in the production of different goods due to their different technological comparative advantage. Now, in the modern times, with reduced transportation cost and with growing interdependence among countries, this technological difference is decreasing. So in contrast to the Ricardian model, the Heckscher-Ohlin model assumed that the trade occur between countries having different resources. So what we'll do is in this video, we'll first describe the basic elements of the model. Now Heckscher-Ohlin model, it depends on difference in resources. And basically there are three key resources: labor, capital and land. Now it is very difficult to study the interaction of all these three factors of production. So what we'll do is we'll just assume there are only two factors of production. Now in building this model, we'll suppose that there are two countries, home and foreign. And each of these two countries, they produce two goods, namely computers and shoes. So both the countries, computers or shoes. Using two factors of production, capital, which is denoted by K, and labor, which is denoted by L. Now, in home, let us say total amount of capital used for computers is KC and total amount of capital used in shoes is KS, and basically KC plus KS, it is equal to total capital used at home, which is K. And the same way, suppose amount of labor used in computers is LC and amount of labor used in shoes is LS, then it gives us entire labor used at home. In the same way, we can say in foreign, capital is KC star and KS star, and there's sum, it is K star, and labor requirement L star, it is LC star plus LS star. Before studying Heckscher-Ohlin model, we have to study its 6 assumptions. And the first assumption is labor and capital flow freely between the industries. As we have already mentioned, it is a long-run model. So all the factors of production, they can move across the industries. So both the factors, labor and capital, in this case, they can move freely between the two industries. Now this assumption 2 is the production of shoes is labor intensive and production of computers is capital intensive. So which means LC upon KC, it should be less than LS upon KS. Now if we consider the graph between wage upon rentals to labor upon capital for each industry, then the graph of LS upon KS, it is above the graph of LC upon KC, thereby indicating shoes is labor intensive whereas computer is capital intensive. Now this third assumption is the amount of labor and capital in these two countries, they differ. Now this foreign, it is abundant in labor. So there is more of labor in foreign and there is more of capital at home. So these two countries, they differ in abundance of factor of production. Now fourth assumption is there is free international trade. The assumption 5 is to set aside any technological differences. So it says that technologies for producing shoes and computers, it is same for both the countries. And assumption 6 is tastes are the same across countries. Now basically this assumption 6 implies the difference curve will have the same shape for both the countries. Now we'll start describing this model. Now first we'll discuss no trade equilibrium in home as well as in foreign. Now for home, this is the production possibility frontier or production possibility curve. Now it is skewed towards computer because we know this home is capital intensive, and for foreign, this is production possibility frontier skewed towards shoes because foreign is labor intensive. So difference in resources, it causes different shape for production possibility frontier. Now consumer preference at home, it is determined by this indifference curve U, and autarky equilibrium in case of no trade, it is at this point A where both the curves, they are tangent to each other. Now this common tangent at this point, it gives us slope of relative price of computers PC upon PS at this point A. Now in case of foreign, we have same indifference curve because sixth assumption is tastes are same across the countries, and just because the shape of production possibility curve is different, the equilibrium now, it will be at this point A star. So autarky equilibrium in case of no trade will be at this point A star. Now if we draw a common tangent at this point, it will give us slope of relative price of computers at foreign, which is PC star upon PS star. Clearly, the difference in slopes illustrate that relative price of computers at home is less than relative price of computers at foreign. So in this case, we have discussed the equilibrium when there is no trade between the two countries. Now first we'll study the impact of international trade at home. Now at home we know that no trade equilibrium, it was at this point A, and relative price of computers is low. Now suppose slope of world price line of computers, it is given by PC upon PSW. Now if we draw this line, then this line, it touches this production possibility frontier at this point B. So in case of international trade, we'll have equilibrium at this point B, which will give us home production. And at that price, if we look at indifference curve, then it touches this line at this point C. So it will give us our home consumption. So there is a shift from A to B. Now clearly with international trade, production of computers is at QC2, whereas home consumption is only QC3. So this home country is going to export this much amount of computers. So this QC2 minus QC3, it will give us computer exports. Now for shoes, production of shoes is at QS2, whereas consumption now is at QS3. So this difference in production will give us amount of shoe that this country will be importing. So in case of international trade, this equilibrium, it shifts to point B. So it will give us our production of computer and shoes, whereas from indifference curve, we can work out home demand. Now difference in demand and production will give us exports. So this home country, it is going to export these amount of computers and it is going to import these amount of shoes. Now if we look at supply of exports in international market, now if world price, it is same as the price at A, then there will be no export. So total export will be 0. And if world price is at PC upon PSW, in this case, world export from this home country will be QC2 minus QC3. So it will be this point, and if we join these points, it will give us home export supply curve for computers. And the same way we'll study equilibrium for foreign country. Now previously equilibrium, it was at A star. Now slope of relative price, it is lower as compared to foreign. So this equilibrium will now shift to B star. Now if it shifts to B star, we'll have foreign production of shoes at QS2 and foreign production of computers as Q star C2. And if we look at its indifference curve, we'll get foreign's consumption. So consumption of computer will be at QC3 star and consumption of shoes will be at QS3 star. Now this difference between consumption and production will give us our exports and imports. Now this foreign, it is going to import computers, which is given by Q star C3 minus Q star C2, and it is going to export these amount of shoes QS2 star minus QS3 star. Now from this again, we can determine foreign import demand curve for computers. Now if price of computer is same as price at this equivalent point A star, there will be no import. And if world price, it is less than price at A star, then we'll have this equilibrium at this point B, where the foreign is going to import the quantity QC3 star minus QC2 star. And if we join all such points, we'll get foreign import demand curve for computers. Now from home export supply curve and foreign import demand curve, we can work out equivalent point D, which is going to determine the relative world price PC upon PSW and the quantity of computers which home wants to export and foreign wants to import. So using free trade equilibrium in Hexa-Rollin model, we have determined the pattern of trade between the two countries. Now home, it is capital intensive, it is going to export computers, and foreign being labor intensive, it is going to export shoes. And this result is known as Hexa-Rollin theorem. So basically, The two countries, they trade because they have different resources. Home has capital and foreign has labor, and therefore home exports computer to foreign, whereas foreign exports shoes to home country. Now with Hexa-Rollin model, we study something called as Leontief's paradox. In order to test Hexa-Rollin model, Leontief measured the amount of labor and capital used in all industries to produce 1 million worth of US exports and 1 million worth of US imports. And his results were given by this table. Now what was surprising in his test was this ratio of capital to labor. And as we can see, this capital to labor ratio for imports, it is higher than capital to labor ratio for exports. He used the data for 1947, and at that time it was assumed that US was abundant in capital as compared to rest of this world. So from the Hexa-Rollin theorem, it was expected that US will export more of capital intensive goods and import more of labor intensive goods. But the findings were completely opposite. So the findings which are contradictory, they are known as Leontief's paradox. It is widely assumed that Leontief did not perform this test well, and there are numerous reasons to explain his paradoxical findings. Now once the pattern of trade is established between the two countries, home and foreign, now we'll study the effect of trade on wage and rental of home. Now we have already assumed that at home, total labor L, it is given by LC plus LS, and total capital, it is given by this K, which is KC plus KS. Now, if we look at relative supply of labor at home, then it will be given by L upon K, and it will be LC plus LS upon K. Now, we can also write this as LC upon KC into KC upon K plus LS upon KS into KS upon K. So basically this relative supply of labor, it is weighted average of relative supply of labor in computers and relative supply of labor in shoes. Now we'll use this relation to determine home wage upon rental. Now as studied previously, relative demand of labor in shoes is higher, and if we find economy wise relative demand of labor, it will be this curve which lies between LS upon KS and LC upon KC being their weighted average. So we have this curve. Now the total amount of resource at home, it is fixed. So basically L and K at home, they are fixed, and therefore this ratio L upon K is also fixed, thereby giving us this vertical line, and this line, it intersects economy wide relative demand for labor at this point A, from which we can determine home wage upon rental. So this is our home wage upon rental in case of no trade. In case of international trade, the home is now going to produce more computers and less of shoes. It is going to export computers and it is going to import shoes because it has lower relative price of computers as compared to the world. So basically when home opens itself to trade, it gets higher relative price of computer, that is PC upon PS, it increases at home. And in case of increase in relative price of computers, the economy-wide relative demand for labor, it is going to shift towards computer. So this graph, it is going to shift towards left. That is towards computers. When this demand curve, it shifts towards left, then in that case, we'll have a new equilibrium at this point B. So now wage upon rental, it is given by this value, and suppose it is W by R2. So it has moved from W by R1 to W by R2. So wage upon rental is going to decrease from W by R1 to W by R2. However, if we look at labor upon capital ratio for computers, it increases from LC upon KC1 to LC upon KC2. So labor to capital ratio is increased in case of computers. And the same way, if we look at this ratio in case of shoes, then previously it was at this point and now it will be at this point. So for shoes also, LS upon KS, it is going to increase from LS upon KS1 to LS upon KS2. So an increase in the relative price of computer will result in fall in wage to rental ratio from WR1 to WR2, and these lower relative wages, they'll increase labor to capital ratio for both the industries. So with increase in relative price of computers, LC upon KC will increase. There'll be more capital in computers, will also increase. LS upon KS will also increase. So the only factor which is going to decrease is amount of capital available for shoes. Now in this model, basically we are not interested in changes in relative wage or relative rental. We are interested in change in real wage and real rental. Now we already know that labor to capital ratio, it has improved for both the industries, for computers as well as for shoes. So it will result in higher marginal productivity of capital in both the industries, in computers as well as in case of shoes. And we know that rental, it is given by price into marginal product of capital. So it is MPKC, and the same way we can write this R as PS into MPKS. From here we can write MPKC is R upon PC and MPKS is R upon PS. Now as we already know, hexagonal model is a long run model. So rental on capital, it is going to equalize for both the industries. So now with increase in marginal productivity of capital, we can clearly say that the real rental, it is going to go up. So basically the amount of computers that can be bought with this rental R, as well as the amount of shoes from the same rental R, they both increases. It simply means that the real rent on capital, it increases. So in case of international trade, when the relative price of computer goes up, the capital owners, they are at an advantage as real rental of capital, it goes up. Now in order to determine change in real wages, we know that marginal product of labor for both computers as well as marginal product of labor for shoes, it is going to decrease. Now we can use these marginal products to determine wage. So wages will be given by PC into marginal product of computers and PS into marginal product of labor in shoes. Now we can rearrange this as marginal product of labor for computer will be W upon PC, and marginal product of labor for shoes, it is W upon PS. Now for both it has decreased. Now another way of looking at it is the quantity of computers that can be bought with the same wage W and the quantity of shoes that can be bought from the same wage W, it has decreased. And it clearly means that the real wage is reduced. So real wage, in this case, it has reduced. So with an increase in relative price of computers, capital owners, they are better off, whereas labor is worse off as real rental increases and real wage decreases. And this result, it is known as Stolper-Samuelson theorem. So in the long run, when all factors are mobile within the industry, it says in the long run, increase in relative price of good will increase real earning of the factor used intensively in the production of that good and decrease the real earning of the other factor. So in case of home, we have computer and shoes, and computer is capital intensive where shoes is labor intensive. When relative price of computer, it goes up, then real earning of capital, it goes up, whereas real earning of labor, it goes down. And this theorem is called as Stolper-Samuelson theorem. Now we'll take a numerical example. Now for this example, we are given two industries, computers and shoes. Now sales revenue, PC into QC, it is 100. Earning of labor, W into LC, it is 50. And earning of capital, R into KC is 50. Now for shoes, sales revenue is 100. Earning of labor is 60. And earning of capital is 40. Now it says when home and foreign, they undertake trade, relative price of computers, they increase, and they increase by 10%, whereas there is no change in the price of shoes. So we need to determine with this increase in relative price of computer, what will be long-term changes in the wage W and in the rental on capital R. Now what we'll do is we'll find rental on capital for both the industries. This rental will be given by its revenue, which is PC into QC minus cost, which is W into LC divided by amount of capital invested, which is KC. Now with change in price, rental is going to change and wage is going to change. So we can write delta R will be equal to delta PC into QC minus delta W into LC upon K. Now we are interested in percentage change. So what we'll do is we'll divide it with R. So we can write this as delta R upon R will be delta PC into QC minus delta W into LC upon R into KC. Now we can further split this as delta R upon R and will be equal to delta PC upon, we can write this as PC into PC QC upon RKC minus, and we write this as delta W upon W into WLC upon RKC. Now here we are going to plug in this data. So we can write delta R upon R, it is equal to delta PC upon PC, which is percentage change in price for computers, and is 10%. So it will be this 10% into, now PC into QC, it is sales revenue. So it will be this 100 divided by RKC, and RKC is earning of capital, which is 50. So it will be this 2 into 10 and minus, and here will be this delta W upon W into, now WLC is earning of labor, which is 50 upon earning of capital, which also is 50. Now this 50 and 50 will cancel. So from here we can write delta R upon R plus delta W upon W will be equal to 20%, and this is our first equation. And the same way we can write rental for shoes. Now this R will be equal to PS into QS minus WLS upon KS. Now again we'll find change in rental, so it will be delta R and it will be equal to delta PS into QS minus delta W into LS upon KS, and again we'll find percentage change, so we can write delta R upon R will be equal to delta PS into Q minus delta W LS, and this is R into KS, and we can split this as delta PS upon PS into PSQS upon RKS minus delta W upon W into WLS upon RKS. Now for shoes, sales is 100, earning of labor is 60, and earning of capital is 40, whereas price change in case of shoes is simply 0. So we can write delta R upon R will be equal to, now price change for shoes, it is 0, so it will be 0 minus delta W upon W into earning of labor is 60 and earning of capital is 40. So it will be 60 by 40, which is 3 by 2. And that's a second equation. Now if we put delta R upon R as minus 3 by 2, delta W upon W, we'll get delta W upon W as minus 40%. So with increase in price of computers, the real wages, they're decreased by 40. And if we put delta W upon W as 40%, we'll get this as 120 by 2, 60. So rental, it is going to increase by 60. And this result is consistent with Stolper-Samuelson theorem, because price of computer, it has increased, and computer is capital intensive, and therefore the rent on capital, it has increased, and rent on labor, it has decreased. Now we'll take another example. It says, now there is drastic technological improvement in shoe production at home, and such that shoe factories can operate almost completely with computer-aided machines. Now the data given is sales revenue for computer is 100, payment to labor is 50, payment to capital is 50, and percentage change in the price is 0. And for shoes, sales revenue is 100, payment to labor is 5, payment to capital is 95, and percentage increase in price of shoes is 50%. Now the first question is, which industry is capital intensive? Now for computers, if we look at WLC upon RKC, this value is 1. Whereas for shoes, WLS upon RKS, it is 5 by 95. So in this case, computer is more labor intensive, whereas shoes is more capital intensive. So in this case, shoes is more capital intensive. Now with the given percentage change in the output price, we need to find percentage change in rental on capital. Now again, we'll start with computers. So we can write this rent R as PCQC minus WLC upon KC. We'll again find percentage change. So we'll write delta R upon R, and there'll be delta PC upon PC, and it'll be PCQC upon RKC minus delta W upon W into WLC upon RKC. Now this is delta R upon R. Now change in price of computers is 0. So this is 0, and then minus, it is delta W upon W into, now WLC it is 50 and RKC is also 50. So from here we get our first equation, and which is delta R upon R, it is equal to minus delta W upon W. So this is equation 1. Now for shoes, R is given by PSQS minus WLS upon KS, or percentage change in rental, it is given by delta PS upon PS. This is PSQS upon RKS minus delta W upon W into WLS upon RKS. Now this is delta R upon R. Now percentage change in price is 50%. So it will be this 50 into PSQS upon RKS. Now PSQS is 100 and RKS is 95 minus delta W upon W, and here will be WLS, which is 5, and RKS, which is 95. Now we know that minus delta W upon W is delta R upon R. So we'll substitute the value of minus delta W upon W as delta R upon R. So it will be delta R upon R minus 5 by 95 delta R upon R, and there will be 5000 upon 95, or we can write 90 delta R upon 95 R will be equal to 5000 upon 95. Now this 95 will cancel, this 0 will also cancel. So change in rent, it is given by 500 by 9, which is nearly 55.56%. And since delta W upon W is minus delta R upon R, it will be this minus 55.56%. So the percentage change in the rental on capital, it is 55.56%. Now, how does the magnitude of this change compares with that of labor? Now, magnitude of percentage change of labor is same as magnitude of percentage change of rental on capital. So for both of them, magnitude is 55.56. But in case of capital, it is positive, whereas in case of labor, it is negative. So in real terms, capital gains and labor loses. And since in this case, shoes are capital intensive, the result is consistent with Stolper-Samuelson theorem. So this is what we call Hexaroland model of international trade.